For more on this, I'm now joined by Elisabeth Kendall from Oxford University in the UK. Hello, thank you very much indeed for joining us. Now, of course, we've talked a lot here on France 24 about how important Hudaydah is when it comes to aid deliveries. But what's its significance to the Houthis economically?
The significance of Hudaydah to the Houthis is that it is the major source of income because the Houthis are able to effectively tax anything that comes in through that port. And what that means is that capturing the port deprives the Houthis of any kind of income and also, according to the coalition, deprives the Houthis of weaponry that is coming in through that port, though that is a more controversial statement.
So this battle then for Hudaydah is a potential turning point in Yemen's war?
One would like to think so, but actually there are two problems about the battle for Hudaydah. One is that the risk to civilians is massive. We haven't seen a total bloodbath yet, but the disruption and the displacement of tens of thousands of civilians so far, even if many haven't actually been killed, is going to have knock-on effects that last for decades. And the second problem is that will it actually lead to peace? It's unclear what comes next. Even if the Houthis retreat and are beaten back, they are in no mood to surrender or negotiate. In fact, according to their leader's statement earlier today, they're in less of a mood to negotiate. So it's not really clear where this will end.
But it seems the coalition thinks that if they can get the Houthis to lose control of Hudaydah, then they would bring the Houthis to the table for a political solution.
Well, that is what the coalition thinks. But this war has not operated according to military logic. There are other matters at stake here. There's honour, there's shame, there's revenge. And there's the fact that the negotiations proposed by the coalition rely on the United Nations resolution that is unacceptable to the Houthis and as preconditions just won't work. Where will the Houthis go back to after 14 years of war? Their previous wars that the Houthis fought against the Yemeni government, their areas are pulverized. What needs to happen is that concessions must be made on both sides, and the Houthis need a reason other than a military one to get to the negotiating table. That, so far, is not happening.
What kind of reason? What do you think would get them to the negotiating table?
I think some kind of agreement which doesn't necessarily force them into a retreat into the pulverized northern highlands and force them to give up all their weapons, and perhaps actually takes into account the fact that when Yemen's power and resources and territory are shared, they may have access or at least investment in some of those northern areas. Because what drove the Houthis to take over the capital in the first place were complaints about economic marginalization, political marginalization, and the fact that the federal plan that had been drawn up did not give them access to a seaport or oil. There really was no future for them in that. I should just add that the Houthis have undertaken despicable acts. I'm not praising the Houthis or on the side of the Houthis. I'm just trying to be realistic about what will ultimately bring peace to Yemen.
All right. Well, thank you very much indeed for your time and your analysis. Elisabeth Kendall joining us there from Oxford University.